Tales of Khayaal is a set of stories that look to really address the question that what does it mean to be human in a time of tremendous techno-scientific change?
The vision for Tales of Khayaal is a creative fictional universe inspired by spiritual imagination, which is seeing and imagining with your heart. It's a different kind of faculty.
So how does the heart actually manifest certain spiritual realities? So to explore that whole question, we've created this fictional world called Khayaal, and we join the story in the third epoch of this planet. It's the final epoch. So the story begins with this arrival of this comet, which signifies the end time, the coming of something called the final standing, the return of an old enemy of humanity called Mortan. Now we see these cataclysmic events unfolding through the eyes of two main protagonists, Zorar and Alifa. What we've tried to do, we've tried to explore the story through putting pressure on certain characters, because when you put pressure on characters in a fictional tale, you kind of find out who they are. And that really allows us to explore this notion of spiritual imagination.
There's a lot of parallels, of course, in the Islamic tradition, but we set it in a fictional universe. It's a fictional sandbox. We didn't want to encounter any aqid issues or issues of commenting on specific peoples or places or histories. But Muslim readers will very much find those present and be able to identify many layers of what is it like to be Muslim in this age.
In the modern world today, a lot of people feel very disconnected from tradition, from what really went before. And each generation lives in the memory that there was something before them, but sometimes they're not quite sure what that is. And as the generations pass through, that tradition becomes like a shadow, and eventually it just disappears entirely. And so what literature does, literature provides a unique sort of platform to discuss this. It really addresses the trials and tribulations of what it means to be human across time. In our tradition, we have a real richness to create stories that are very different.
I really long to see this more beautiful presence and representation of Islamic concepts and Muslim heritage and beautiful art, more authentically representing the spiritual concepts, virtues, and stories from our tradition. So the first wave or the first generation of Tales of Khayaal content was a series of short stories and comics. They were beautiful and well received, but for the vision to be fully realized, I knew that we needed an experienced and very dedicated storyteller who understood the vision and understood the opportunity to create what I think millions of readers would be interested in reading and watching. And that came in the form of Rehan Khan.
This novel is a process of art, but it's a process of craft as well. And so I've been doing a lot of the craft of the novel, and Peter has been doing a lot of the art of the novel. But together, that's really worked. So a lot of the great ideas in the story that people will see, some of the technology that they'll come across, are things that we've sort of come up together whilst working, having a cup of karak chai in my house in Dubai.
We would spend a lot of time in what we call the Majlis al-Khayaal. It was basically his living room, or he came here out to Sydney.
With papers and tasbees and all kinds of things all over the place.
We would spend hours and hours talking about histories and worlds and technologies of the characters.
It's the first time I've worked with someone on a creative process in this manner.
I couldn't ask for a more amazing guy to collaborate with, alhamdulillah.
It's really pushed me much further than I would have gone had I done it by myself.
The vision is to build a community of people who really engage and love with this world. They cherish the maturity and sophistication of the stories in it, the nuances of the characters, the influences in the world.
We're really trying to get that whole alternative ecosystem set up so that we and other artists can start coming together and have this bigger platform to create stories that will appeal not just to people of faith, but people who are concerned with anything to do with, right and wrong as well.
I think the world really is lacking that kind of more heart-centered creative content, heart-centered stories, video games, TV. This is what I would like Tales of Khayaal to become, inshallah.